In my previous rock glazing video, somebody left a comment saying, hey, I wonder if you could make rocks into mushrooms. That's a great idea. Let's find out. So here's the plan. We have these bisque fired. This is just something I already had on hand. And so we're going to make 2 mushrooms. I've already bisque fired these as a test. Both of them showed minor cracking. So I really kind of question whether or not bisquing is even the best move. But they seem like they're all integral. I don't think they're going to fall apart, and they're well supported by their little kind of mushroom base. So I'm going to stir up some, and I am going to do this big one. I threw 2 big rocks in the kiln. I want to show you. Boom. I mean, just really big cracks. And this thing is heavy, and I don't want it to fall any distance in the kiln. It could easily break a shelf. And then I have this stone, which is not bisque fired, and it is kind of a darker red when it's wet. In my experience with gravel melts, the darker red stones can almost flow. They can really melt. So I don't know how this stone is going to react, but I did not bisque fire it, and it's all kind of cratery, which I kind of made it look like a morel mushroom. Here's how it looked after I sponged it off. I think it'll be fine. I just need to get it dipped in some Celadon. Well, since I have this underglaze already out and the brush is wet, I want to go ahead and get my black dots on this. You know, I'm going to get a turntable. Okay. I want to put it on nice and thick. Well, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to let that dry, get the other glazing done, and then we'll put a clear over that. Okay, so we're going to go for it. I'm going to just hold this rock and we'll pour a little more over the top, and I'm going to get a good Celadon coat. Oh yeah, let's just go for it. Well, it looks really thin, but I'm just going to hold it until it stops dripping. I'll set it down, let it dry, and then I'll pour more over the top. Okay, so the Celadon's drying. We have that rock is drying up. I'm going to put it on its base and we'll pour over that. And now I want to put the seafoam on this rock, and then that rock I'm going to spray a clear, I think. I don't think I'm going to pour. But for now, I want to get this into some seafoam. So I mixed up a bucket. Okay, some fingerprints, but it's kind of dried off now. Little tong marks. But I want to pour another coat of this seafoam on. So I have, this is just a bisque ware piece that I'll clean. It's not the final one. Ooh, it looks really good. Well, I already see one problem with my setup. I should not have done it on its final foot. Even though they're the same glaze, I need to be able to pick this up to be able to wipe it. So I have another little stand here, and I'm going to lift this up and set it aside. And then I'll pick this up, sponge it, and I'll reassemble it. Okay, so this is how it's going to go. Because I don't know if this rock will melt, if it falls over, this is not going to help. But if it melts, this will help. So I have this. I was picking it up by putting my finger inside. But you can see I have it all sponged off. And I'll put this on top. There, that looks right. And I'm going to put this whole thing in the kiln tonight, and we'll get to see what it looks like. I'm really excited. I hope it looks good. So my water level is just a tiny bit low, my glaze level, so I'm swirling it around to get it up the wall. And I want it nice and thick. There we go. Okay, clean fingers. I'm going to try to get this onto here. Oh man, it's really wet underneath. I'm going to let it sit a little bit more. Oh, we can at least do this one. So I have a glazed little bowl, and we'll use that to hold it up. And now I'm going to just pour this black glaze over, and I'm really hopeful that it goes all the way down, but there's a chance that it won't make it all the way, and we'll have to think about what to do for that. So for now, I'm going to mix up this black glaze. It's a metallic matte black, and I want it on real thick. So I can't see for sure, but it looks like it went all the way down, so that's good. Okay, so even though there's some thick spots that are still wet, I'm just going to go for it. Oh. There we go. So there you go. You can see I got some finger marks here. So while I'm waiting for this rock to dry enough for me to pick it up and put it over there on its base. This black glaze is just sitting here, and so anyways, you can see it's kind of cracking. I'm not worried about it, but I wouldn't mind coming back with a paintbrush and using some of this. And this breaks blue because it has a lot of cobalt in it, so I'm going to add some black spots on the top of this one, and hopefully they might break blue even, so we'll see. I actually like some of those little spots I got, so I'm just gonna flick on. Oh, that's nice. That's what we want. Alright, I like it. We're done. Okay, so here's what they look like going into the kiln. So, tomorrow we get to see what they look like. Okay, it's the next morning. I just opened the kiln and look what I saw. Well, the other two don't look bad, but I mean, how do you take your eyes away from this? So much for the bowl, dang it. I had it almost in the middle of the shelf just in case it fell over. My biggest concern right now is not a broken heating element. I don't think that's likely, but what is likely is that melted pile of poo rock right there is going to take a chunk of the brick out. Okay, I'm not sure this is going to work, but I'm going to set the camera down here. I'm going to come in from this side first. Well, something moved. Ooh, there you go. Well, I didn't see this coming. Man, it felt heavy when I was lifting it out, but I couldn't figure out why. Look at that sucker. Didn't touch anything else. It did release from the brick fairly easily with that saw. But the idea that this is a rock that was in my backyard, that is pretty freaking crazy. So I need to go find more of these rocks and do some more tests, because that is pretty freaking cool. Okay, so how would you go about doing this? Oh, I see a little crack in the rock already there. Oop, oop. Ooh, weird. Really glassy looking. Not quite obsidian, but again, just a rock in the backyard. Pretty freaking crazy. Wonder if I could melt it into a mold. That would be cool. Gotta think about that. Look how good they look. Like, you can see that the weight of the rock conformed the clay to it. How cool is that? I love the fact that this rock took on a purple hue. I did not expect that. But the black looks really good, no drifting. Really happy with how those spots turned out. And I really like the gills. On a lot of mushrooms, there's a line that appears here, kind of a, I don't know what, every mushroom's different, but oftentimes there's some sort of banding or a little flap of skin or whatever you call it. And that's why I dipped that line. Now this one, it wasn't as strong as this in terms of being able to see it, but so nice and smooth. There are these kind of big spots here. I don't know if that was, I don't recall when it was fully dried seeing anything open up. That might be what happens when the glaze was cracking and a little bit, I don't know, but really, really shiny and smooth. The spots didn't work out, but I do like how the spots have kind of, I don't know, dripped over the edges, and yeah, I think that's really fun. So, this is how it turned out. The bowl didn't stick, left a mark, but you know, I don't know, it's a black rock. I don't know what I expected. Maybe something that looked like iron ore maybe, or meteorite or something. But what I'm going to use it for is a gate stop. That's where it's going to end up being. It's going to sit here and nobody will notice it, but I'll know that that has got black glaze on it.